All right, the tip that we're digging into this week is to build some financial goals. So, of all the goals that you could and should create, setting financial goals is kind of important. So, it's so important that we're going to devote this time to helping you set some good financial goals. And there's two reasons that I think it's important. Number one is because we're actually great manifestors. If we have a vision for something that we want to create, we go ahead and do it. But we have to have that vision or that drive or that artistic goal to go after. But once we have that, we actually manifest it really well. So, if you had a good financial goal, chances are you would manifest that as efficiently and effectively as you do the arts goals. Okay? Now, the second reason that it's important to have financial goals is that you cannot manage what you can't measure, right? If you don't know anything about your financial situation, you can't manage it to improve. You're not measuring anything. If you haven't measured how much you need or how much you have, how can you possibly manage to get more? Because you aren't measuring anything, all right? So, number one, we're great manifestors. Have a goal, we'll probably get it. Number two is we have to start measuring, right? And setting a financial goal, in order to set one, you have to start measuring some of your finance stuff. All right. To build a financial goal that you can achieve, because having a financial dream is silly, Yes, I want to have $1 million too. But if I wanted to really make that a goal, then I have to believe that I can achieve it, right? And believing that you can achieve it has to start with knowing how much you earn and how much you need to earn. All right? So, once you know how much you need to earn in a year to live without any financial anxiety, you can build a plan to get there, right? But you have to know. So there's two parts to figuring this out. Number one is knowing what it costs you to be a practicing artist. And number two is having good, honest financial goals. All right? Now, number one, knowing what it costs you to be a practicing artist, we've dealt with before. We're not going to go into that, right? You have to know what it costs you a year to do the thing you do. Okay? So that just measure it. Let's talk about number two, the second part. The second part to figuring out this financial goal. That's having a good goal. So a good goal, something that you really want to achieve, right? It's a good goal. It's what I would need to have no anxiety. It's what I would need to cover off the things that I need, right? So it's a good goal, and it's honest. I know these are the real numbers. I didn't pull these numbers out of my ass. These are real numbers. I've scrutinized them. I'm being honest about this, all right? And then, so they're good, honest financial goals, because there could be this one big goal. To get this number might require a couple other small goals inside it, all right? So that's what we're going to focus on, is having a good, honest financial goals. Or goals. More than one is fine. So here's the way to create that financial goal. I want you to list every revenue stream you had last year, right? So you might have sold some art, you might have had workshops or classes, you might have had speaking gigs, whatever they were, every revenue stream. And then I want you to write down how much you made from each of those streams. Then you're going to add it all up and get your total income for last year. Okay? Now I want you to think about last year. Was money really tight? Did you have trouble paying your bills? Well, if so, that total that you have over there, I want you to add enough money to that total to make that number anxiety-free, right? So again, this is where you're going to be honest with yourself and said, look, if it was just there, I wouldn't have anxiety. Trust your inner guidance. Trust your intuition. Trust the higher self you that knows, right? Sure, if you had another $100,000, anxiety-free. No. Be serious about that number. What would it take to add that number? What would you need to add to that number to make that anxiety-free? Okay? Now, I want you to also add to that number things that you didn't have last year that every artist really does need, like health insurance, paying off your credit card debt, putting money into savings, putting money into superannuation, in a retirement fund, taking a holiday, right? You know that rewarding yourself, taking that break, resting, powering down, those are important to maintain being in this practice for the long haul, right? So you're going to add some things to that number as well. Now, once you've got that new total, this is the goal. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is look at that number and feel the need for that number. Really feel that, right? You know that we are powerful manifestors, and one part of that is being able to visualize having this vision, right? You have to imagine that you can achieve it. Believe that you can achieve it, right? So I want you to just allow yourself to jump forward in time to the completion of this goal. So there you are. However it would represent itself to you. Does that mean that you're going to tot up your finances and hand them to your accountant and you're going to see that number? Does that mean that in some accounting software you're going to see that number? Does that mean you're going to be having a conversation with someone and they're going to say, how much money did you earn last year? And you're going to say that number. Whatever you're doing that helps you know that you've achieved that, imagine yourself in that position. Go ahead and close your eyes if you want. Imagine that you're in that moment where you have achieved this goal. I want you to look around you. Where are you? What are you wearing? Who's around you? I want you to feel what it feels like inside. What's the emotions that you have around the satisfaction of having to achieve that goal? Do you feel a sense of pride? Do you feel accomplishment? Do you feel ease? Are your shoulders relaxed? What does it feel like in your body to having achieved that? What are you saying to yourself? What do you hear yourself saying in your own mind? That little voice in your mind, is it saying nice things? Is it saying, woohoo, you did that? You hit that goal. Good on you. Are other people saying that to you? Are they saying, my God, John Paul, I remember that you said months ago that that was your goal and you've done it. Do you hear someone congratulate you and telling you that you have achieved that? Supporting you? There's a word for that. I can't think of what it is. Right? And then maybe there's a taste. Maybe you're having a fabulous dinner and that's how you know you've achieved this. And you're tasting this beautiful, expensive wine that you're splurging on as a reward. You're eating some fabulous meal. You're eating you're at your favorite restaurant in Bali because you're on holiday. Okay? All right. So allow your eyes to open. But that's the important thing, right? Is because we talk about the difference between a goal and a result. So we've just done a bit of the goal setting. We know the number we want, and we believe that that's an honest number. Now we've done the result. What is it going to feel like to have that? What are we going to be feeling, seeing, hearing? Okay? So what I want you to do this week is to do this work. Go create this financial goal. Okay? You know how to do it. I've given you the recipe. So go do it. Do it. Be honest with yourself. Take the time to actually create this financial goal. But I want you to make it a map. So that's M-A-P. So when I do financial plans, or when I do this kind of strategic planning, I make sure that I create a map. And that stands for measurable, actionable, and passionate. So measurable, you've got a number, right? So there's a number that you want to achieve, right? So now it's measurable. Actionable. Can you actually make this happen? Are there things that you could do to make this happen? I don't want goals that are going to require the universe to just throw this money down from heaven at you. I want this to be something where you can take action to make it happen. And thirdly, a good map has to be passionate. If it isn't something you really want, if you can't feel the desire to have that, you're not going to do it. There's too much going on in your life. As an independent artist, you've got way too much going on. If this financial goal can't be passionate, you're not going to do it. So measurable, actionable, and passionate. Okay? So that's what I want you to do this week, is go set that goal. Create that financial goal. Visualize the final moment when you've achieved it, right? And then make it a map. Measurable, actionable, and passionate. Okay? So let's assume that you've done that and you have a financial goal. So where is this money going to come from? Right? So we're going to create now what I call a simple financial plan. So financial plans are, how are you going to bring in more money? How are you going to make more money? How are you going to make your money earn more money for you? What's the financial plan? So this is a very simple financial plan. All right? The way that I like to make financial plans for artists is we needed to do a visual tool because we tend to be visual people. We're sort of visual kinesthetic learners. We like to see it and we like to actually do something. So let's go with seeing it. So I want your financial plan to be a pie chart, right? I want you to make your revenue, what you've learned about measuring where your money comes from all year, I want you to turn that into a pie chart. So I want you to go back to that list of every income stream that you had last year, right? So every income stream that you had, and I want you to, and the amount that you earned in that stream, right? Then you're going to add all that up, and that's going to give you the income that you earned from those revenue streams, right? Then you can divide each revenue stream by the total, right? So we've got, these are my streams, this is how much I made, right? Then we're going to add those all up, that's my total income. Then you're going to look at how much you made in this revenue stream, and you're going to divide that by your total to come up with the percentage of your income that that revenue stream represents. Okay? So let's just say, for example, in your tables, and I encourage you all to use Excel. If you are not comfortable with Excel, get comfortable. If you're going to be an artist in business, one of the tools you're going to need on the business side is to understand your way around using Excel. You can go to a community class. I know that in your neighborhood, someone runs a community class on using Excel. It's very straightforward. There are 1,001 tutorials. It is not difficult to use, but please start using it. All right? So let's say, for example, you've got in this column sources of income. So let's say my sources of income were paintings, some classes, some commissions, some speaking gigs, some retreats. I did artist retreats where we all went away and made art. And then I'm doing a couple of markets. So those are my sources of revenue. Then in this column, I want the amount that I made last year. So from paintings, I made $15,000. From teaching classes, I made $8,000. From commission work, I made $12,000. From speaking gigs, I made $5,000. From retreats, I made $7,000. And from markets, I made $3,000. Okay? So if I add all those numbers up, I get $50,000. So I made $50,000 last year. Some of it from paintings, some of it from classes, some of it from commissions, speaking gigs, retreats, markets. Okay, so then you just figure out the percentage. So I made $15,000 from paintings. So 15,000 divided by 50,000 is 30%. So 30% of my income was made from paintings. 16% of my income was made from classes. 24% of my income was made from commissions. 10% of my income was made from speaking gigs, 14% from retreats, 6% from markets. Okay? So that's how it all happened. Now, because we're in Excel, the cool thing you can do is go up to the top and you're going to go over to, you're going to go over to grab all that data in a little box, and then you're going to hit Insert and you're going to choose Pie Chart. And you're going to have a look. And you might get a picture that looks something like this. Now it's going to assign colors, so don't worry that you don't have the same colors that I do. So you look at your pie chart, because those percentage numbers are just a number to some of us. But when you look at this and you go, oh, look at the size of the big orange one. What's that? Oh yeah, that's, okay, good. And what's the big yellow? Okay, good. Right? And then you look and you go, oh, but that blue one opposite that orange one, those are about the same size. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if I could grow those two. And then what's the little wedge? Oh, right, that's the markets. Okay, yeah. How would I feel if I just eliminated that? What would that feel like? So it's a way to start looking at your financial situation, making some plans about that. Okay? So you know the difference between what you earned last year and what your anxiety-free financial goal is. How far apart are they? Okay, so if, let's say mine was 50,000 and what I need to be anxiety-free is 70,000, I need to look back at this pie chart and say, where's another 20 grand going to come from? So I say, well, what if I increased everything a little bit? What if I traded out something? What if I grew one of these wedges? But it's a way that you can start building this plan. So here are some questions that you want to ask now that you're looking at your pie chart. Well, where's the good money? So look at that and say, well, where's the good money? Right? And then come up with a plan for how you can do more of that work. Okay? So if the good money is in commissions, in mine, so I looked at that and I went, wow, commissions represent a pretty big slice of the pie here. And I make really good money when I do commissions. So gosh, if I just doubled those commissions. Okay? Another question you can ask is, are there gigs that are just coming to you without any effort? Right? So are there things that are just happening to you that you're not putting any effort into that you could put some effort into pursuing? That's another place to put on your plan. Another one is, can you increase your price? The answer for 90% of you is yes, you can increase your price. Okay. Then I'd like you to do some research, right? Who does better at your key revenue streams than you do? So look at your key revenue streams. What are the big ones? Where does the most of the money come from? Look around in your circle. Look around in your country. Look internationally if you want. And say, well, who does better at this than me? And do some research. Well, how do they do it? Okay? So what I'd like you to do is to, based on that conversation that you're having, based on looking at all those things, knowing that the amount of money that you need to live anxiety-free, financial anxiety-free, you have to figure out where that money is going to come from. How much of these wedges are you going to grow? Okay? Where are you going to make those changes? So what I'd encourage you to do this week is to make 1 or 2 specific revenue goals. So just 1 or 2. You know, don't look at the whole thing and decide that you have to revamp your whole financial picture. That's going to be too hard. Just pick 1 or 2 specific goals that you go, wow, look, if I just did that, if I put some effort in that, if I doubled that, if I added more of those, okay? You know, you could look at the little wedge, that little pink wedge of markets and go, you know, those take so many hours of my time and it only makes me that little bit of money. I would rather use that time to grow one of my other revenue streams. It's possible, okay? Or you could decide, look, the reason I go to markets is to build my database. So actually, I know that I'm not actually going to sell much. So I'm going to not kill myself about producing product for the markets because I know we don't sell very much there. What I am going to do is to make my stall look like a beautiful gallery. So I'm going to hang really beautiful work that I know is not going to get sold because nobody goes to a market to drop 20 grand. It does happen, but it's rare. But they're going to come to my stall like they're going to a really cool gallery, right? Because I'm going to build my database. So I'm going to take the pressure off sales from those and use those as database building. All right? So pick 1 or 2 specific revenue goals. Sorry, went on a little bit of a sidebar there. You're going to make 1 or 2 specific revenue goals, but I want you to build these as a map, M-A-P. So when I do strategic planning or when I do goal setting with artists, I use MAP. And for me, that's measurable, actionable, and passionate, right? So measurable, if that specific goal has a number, then it's measurable. Do you know how long you want to achieve that number in a year, in 10 months, in 6 months, in the next time you do it? What's the measure? Actionable, is it something that you can actually do? Is it in your control to achieve this? Can you make actions that will happen that will actually achieve it? If this is something that's going to require the gods to drop it in your lap, no, it doesn't go on this map. Action that you can take. And passionate. If it's not something that you want, if it's not something you need, if hitting that financial goal is not something that you're passionate about, you will not do it. So make it passionate. What would it feel like to achieve that? What would you have if you could achieve that? What would it mean to you emotionally to achieve that? Be clear about that. Because it's the passion that's going to drive you. You know that. All right. Then what I want you to do is, once you've decided that you've got these as in the map form, measurable, action, and passionate, you just need to write down the first steps. So you've got 1 or 2 goals. You've written them down as measurable, actionable, and passionate. And then what's the first step? Just take the first step. If it lives on your piece of paper, that's no good. What's the first step? What's the first step of 30 minutes or less that's going to get this ball rolling, that's going to start this momentum? That's what you need to have. Now, one great first step is having a conversation. Having conversations about your financial goals, your financial targets, where you're trying to go, is one of the best things you can do as a first step, because it gets it out of here, right? And it gets it out there. So you're going to change how you talk to people, right? New revenue streams. If you're going to start a new revenue stream, it starts with a conversation. So when you do the advanced programs with us, you learn value-based language, right? And that's where you're going to tell people about the impact, the value, and the benefit of what you create, because that's where you get your customers from. That's where you start building your business, right? It's not talking about the art. It's talking about the impact and the value and the benefit. But we don't have time to go into all of that. That's months and months worth of work, right? But have that conversation about the financial goal, right? Now you're going to initiate some conversations with potential customers, right? You're going to talk about the new thing you're doing. You're going to talk about how you're going to do more of these, how you're going to, the fame that you've had, whatever it is, you're going to start talking to potential customers. Then you're going to ask past customers maybe. You're going to contact your circle of support, right? You're going to ask your circle of support to suggest people or organizations who might be a good fit for you to grow this, to make this plan happen. So artists who create these kinds of strategic financial goals and plans, that's the key, really. So, I guess I would say that artists who are creative and strategic about their financial goals do a lot better than those who leave it up to the gods. So working on the creative side, on the financial side, can be as creative. It's going to come up with cool ideas, cool things to do, ways to hit this goal. So be creative, be strategic, ask people, start having conversations about where you're going with your business. All right? And you're going to get there, because we are great manifestors. If you feel passionate about it and you know that it's in your control to do it, and you can imagine yourself achieving it, you have a way better chance of actually getting there. All right? So there you go. You're going to get a financial goal that's going to give you, look at a number that's going to be anxiety-free, and then you're going to build a little simple financial plan that's going to take one or two goals and build the steps to get there. All right. See you next week.